Hi, today I want to talk about Mandela Effects. I've just watched The Meaning Behind Mandela Effects. Chris, the Quantum Businessman is Back by Chad. Now, I'm 61 years of age and I'm going to tell the story of my Mandela Effects, and I'm going to read off the paper because I've taken notes. Okay, for me, in the past, during grief and COVID, I've only learned about Mandela effects, and I learned that they were part of a simulation game, that we're in a simulation. Now, if you read my book, Seeing the Spirituality Behind the Negativity, a Menu for the Game of Life, my thing there says that Earth is a game, that we are all playing a game. Anyway, in this video that I just watched, he explained that the Mandela effect was like a time travel thing, changing different timelines into the now. For me, here's some Mandela effects. The Bernstein Bears, the Hindenburg. I too remember it being the worst aviation disaster in history, and that there were no survivors. And strangely, I've also read books that believe it ran on helium, not hydrogen. Apparently, I too remember that witnesses stated that they saw, just before it burst into flames, this blue thing above the Hindenburg. And apparently, according to the video I just watched, the blue is blue plasma, which is St. Elmo's fire, which relates to time travel. Apparently people can invoke St. Elmo's fire and time travel. Now, if the Mandela effect involves timelines, this means that I'm not in one or many. It could also mean different outcomes. This guy tried to say that the timeline we're in the now is better, an improvement, but how does he know? How does he not know that some other timeline that's existing right here and now is better? For me, time is the now. There's no such thing as a future, past, or present. Everything exists in the now. Anyway, he says that branches of different timelines are collapsing into now. The timelines result in a better time. I want to know who and why is doing this time altering. Who is behind this simulation? I believe in aliens. I believe in the elite. I believe in reptilians. You can see this all in my book. I too remember this. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all? Apparently now it's Magic Mirror. I think, what the fuck? And I too remember the heart once being on the left, and people still today believe that the heart is on the left. But apparently now it's in the middle, and apparently we've been upgraded, more balanced. Apparently the avatars that we are, it's instantaneous change. You know, there's not we just instantly change, you know. In the old timelines, there's another me, but if that is collapsing, so is my old avatar. Mandela effects are increasing, which shows new timelines. Mercury apparently has a tail like a comet. What? Sidetracking. I've always tried to make sense out of deaths. And if this guy Chris on this channel is correct, which I just watched, we are going to a better time. Now, I've always said And I didn't mean this in a bad way. Rob died so I could be free of a drug addiction. The truth is, if that Rob and I was still alive, we'd still be drug addicts. And my beautiful Jimmy, he died. Maybe he sacrificed his life so Sahara, his mother, could have her fair share of love. I say to Sahara, her old name, which when we got her was Patches. She doesn't even recognize it. She doesn't answer it. I say Jimmy and even play. I've got on a USB stick his bark that I've recorded. She's got no recognition. So for her, did Jimmy ever exist? Another thing, Walt Disney. I too remember Tinkerbell flying over a castle at the beginning. But in this timeline, that's never happened. Apparently, there are geographical changes. Now, I studied this at uni about plates and everything, and Australia, for example, where I live, is moving slowly north and Tasmania is moving slowly away. But these changes happen over thousands, if not millions of years, not in a lifetime of mine like 61 years, but apparently South America's now shifted. Sicily's closer to Italy. Cuba's getting bigger. Other islands have changed. If you look at the old maps, everything's different. He also brought up kidney transplants. Apparently, where our kidneys have changed, but the doctors who performed the kidney transplants, they've always known. Apparently, that they still know where to put the kidneys, even though apparently they've changed. Anyway, you look into that because I don't know much about that. Moonraker, Jaws and Dolly, they had braces. But in this timeline, there's no braces. The guy says that teeth relate to time. Now, this makes sense to me because when I was 11, 12, I suddenly had a lot of fillings. And just lately, all these fillings are starting to crack. All these old fillings are cracking and all my teeth are starting to show. I just had an awful lot of dental work done, put it that way, whereas for years my teeth were fine. Flintstones, another one. Monopoly with a monocle. Top Gun, apparently there's Tom Cruise changes. JFK assassination, there's now films, several films. Lee Harvey Oswald changes. I have to ask this, and I'm sorry I'm reading. Does Mandella Effects explain memory loss? I've read conspiracy books like one in the 1990s, and I returned it to the library in Townsville. But now in this timeline, that book never existed. But interestingly, maybe I've seen a forbidden book because it's explained a lot of conspiracies. It explained a lot of things that are now coming out 30 years later. Was I given a time travel book to awaken my spirituality? Because my spirituality started in the 1990s. Now, don't get me wrong. When I was younger, 10, I was aware of ghosts and everything. But at 16, I became a Christian. And then at 26, I went back to believing in like a Wiccan kind of way. And then at 37, I was a Baha'i. Anyway, I also too remember Antarctica, that people were not allowed, only scientists and the army. But in this timeline, the public is allowed. You can go to cruises. You can stay there. This Mandela effect could really blur your memory. Is this why you go into a room for something, then forget it until a reset? Different countries apparently vibrate at different frequencies, and your DNA vibrates apparently according to these different places. I wonder if 911 will change. I noticed that, at the time they named the pilots of the the planes that flew into the buildings. So, of course, they should be dead. Yet, round about 2016, it came on the news that the CIA, or whoever the American body was, had killed the very pilots, or some of the pilots, in a conflict battle against the Taliban. And then only recently, in the last couple of years, one individual came up and said, "Why is my name as one of these pilots? I'm still alive. What the?" So what I'm saying is, the Mandela effect in the future going to change it, that they weren't planes, or that these weren't Muslim fly, or whatever? Now, I've always had a conspiracy about 911 anyway, and that is in my book. But if you watch, there's little slips all the time in the news. For another example, in the Courier Mail, which is a Brisbane paper, in the 1980s, I read in one page towards the back that dinosaur bones were found together with human bones in the same hole or dig. Apparently, there's a relationship with time with crystals. And you look at the video that I just mentioned and check that out. Teeth are supposed to be crystals. Everything's recorded in your teeth. It's very interesting, as I said before, that I've suddenly had a lot of dental work. And I start to now wonder about all these memory loss, dementia, Alzheimer's. People, I say things and people say, "I don't remember that." I start to doubt myself. Am I going mad? And the fact that we're in a simulation theory, that questions all my spirituality. But there again, in my book, I said that we are the creators. We created this. But why are we changing timelines? Unless for some reason we're having bleeds, because I've always believed in, time exists all in the now, and there are so many possibilities and probabilities, and that thought creates, so that every time you have a thought, you have created a new reality. Thank you, goodbye, and love.